In this interesting episode, we are talking about all latest Kaizer Chiefs news and what they mean. Okay, number one, PSL found Kaizer Chiefs guilt. Number two, Kaizer Chiefs plead guilt. Number three, Samir Nasri signing with Real AM. Well, all of that and more. So, guys, there are so many things, so many layers, and what they mean actually. Because, you know, a lot of people will just look at the surface and they'll be like, okay, but hey, guys, these things, it means much more. So I'm going to give you more about that. So, guys, to those that will stick around, guys, if you are not yet subscribed, what are you waiting for? Because to subscribe, it is free. To like the video, it is free. To comment in the comment section below, guys, it is free of charge. Now, let us jump straight into the video, guys. Right, let's start with Samir Nasri. Samir Nasri signing for Royal AM. Well, good people, the laws are clear on the matter. The laws says there is no player that can sign with any other team unless that player is a free agent. If the player is registered with another club and the contract is expiring, maybe let's say Samir Nasri's contract will expire maybe this coming June. Listen carefully. In between, he cannot sign with a club of his choice until the transfer window opens. If a team signs Samir Nasri now, before the opening of the transfer window, you know what it means? It means the breach or breaching of the law. You are breaching the PSL handbook together with the FIFA statutes. It's easier. That club will be facing punishment from the FIFA. If Kaizer Chiefs can take that matter, if it can be proven and if it's true, if Kaizer Chiefs take that matter forward, Real AM, but that's Kuba Labang. They will, I'm telling you, they will dance for their music. You know what I'm saying? So, if really Kickoff.com stands by their story to say, yes, they signed him this time, I can tell you that troubles are brewing for Real AM. It will be a matter of maybe Kaizer Chiefs deciding not to act upon them. But if Kaizer Chiefs decide to act upon them, I can guarantee you, troubles are looming for Real AM. The only time you can sign a player any time of the day, any time of a season, it is only if the player is a free agent. Then you can sign that player. But right now we know for a fact that Samir Nasri is still contracted to Kaizer Chiefs. Whether the contract is expiring June or maybe there's one year option, we don't care. But for now, there's no team that can sign him. If they do so, it is illegal. Now let me remind you something. Do you remember that it is the same thing that the owner of Amazon, Sunday Luzungu, was saying about Kaizer Chiefs? He said that they approached September during December. And remember that the transfer window opened in January. So if Kaizer Chiefs if it can be proven that Kaizer Chiefs did that, you know what it means? It means that Kaizer Chiefs will be banned, will be fined if ever they are not banned. But there will be consequences for that. You do not sign a player that is contracted to another team, even if the contract is coming to an end, but you cannot sign that player before or during transfer window. Is that clear? Okay, let's move that out of the way. Kaizer Chiefs are found guilty by the PSL. It looks nice and simple. Okay, Kaizer Chiefs now decide to plead guilty. I'm not interested in what Kaizer Chiefs decided to do. I'm interested in the judgment that was handed over by the PSL. Let me remind you something. Not long ago, the same PSL found Orlando Pirates guilty of ill-treating Tim Sugazi, who had papers to enter Orlando Stadium when Tex Galaxy were to play against the Orlando Pirates, but he was stopped by Orlando Pirates officials. Now, listen carefully. The PSL found Orlando Pirates guilty, but then they gave them a suspended sentence. I asked myself a question of, okay, so it's a suspended sentence to Orlando Pirates. But then to Kaizer Chiefs, you fine them 200,000 and then you suspend 100,000. And then also they say that the players who played in that game, or look, were supposed to pay a fine of 10,000 each, but then even that is suspended. Let's dive in a little bit there. So you see, do you remember in the last time we spoke about this case of Team Sugas and Orlando Pirates? Do you remember what I said? I said to you guys, if this thing continues, this is what is going to happen. It's going to look like, because the chairman let me rephrase this one. It's like this. Yeah. Zola Majavu, advocate Zola Majavu, he is hired by the PSL, and who is the chairman of the PSL is Ivan Kaizer, Dr. Ivan Kaizer. Who's Dr. Ivan Kaizer apart from PSL? He owns a team called Orlando Pirates. So who does advocate Zola Majavu report to, or who is the employer of Zola Majavu? It is the chairman of Orlando Pirates, Mr. Ivan Kaizer. So listen carefully here. Now, same Orlando Pirates is in fighting against the PSL. The PSL that is headed by the same chairman who is the owner of Orlando Pirates. I don't know if you get what I'm saying. Now, the same person, same advocate hired by the same hired by the same chairman, you know what I'm saying, together with his obviously colleagues, reports to the same person about his team, and then his team get a suspended sentence. Then Kaizer Chiefs get a fine, and that fine, they will only pay 50% of that fine. Do you see the point that do you remember when I say to you, you see this thing of chairmen running the clubs and also running PSL? It's a conflict. Look, it's a conflict of interest in a way, because right now, from where I'm standing, I can easily argue that Orlando Pirates, why was their sentence suspended, but when it comes to Kaizer Chiefs, their sentence is not suspended? Why? You know what I'm saying? Is there no favoritism in that? I can argue that, and it's difficult. Maybe one will come and say, maybe the merit of the case is different than the other one. Then I'll say, okay, so you mean that what Orlando Pirates did is much more less than what Kaizer Chiefs did by fielding two players. Wait a minute. At Orlando, it was a physical fight. And it was not only about the field of play, but it was about a physical fight. Somebody could have been injured in that during that exchange of words and energy and all the stuff. Maybe somebody says, okay, then maybe, okay, that's the merit of the case. Then you come to Kaizer Chiefs, they field a young player that is not properly registered. And then now you've got another Pirates and Kaizer Chiefs, one gets a suspended sentence, the other one gets to pay 50%. Then you say, based on what I've just told you, which one, according to you, that has got more weight between Kaizer Chiefs and Orlando Pirates? Tell me, let's talk about the merits here, the merits of this case. I'm not a lawyer, you know, so we're just talking things general. You see this thing of saying, of using players that are, of PSL being governed by people that owns clubs. You see now what the conflict that it is causing, criticism that it's inviting, because it's the same thing as to say Golden Arrows complained to the PSL, but the same PSL is led by the owner of Golden Arrows, who is a CEO of PSL. So the owner of Golden Arrows, the owner of Golden Arrows, complained to PSL CEO, the same CEO who is Manto. Does it really make sense? Do you see? I think, guys, it is clear here. There's a huge conflict of interest that do occur. I know they will not see it now, but later on they will see it. Let's talk, guys. Nina, okay, leave me alone. Keep me in this. Leave my opinion and then look at it from your perspective and tell me if really, you think there will be fairness if Kaizer was the chairman of this club, Mr. Zulema Jav reports to the same chairman of PSL, who is the chairman of Kaizer Chiefs? Does it really make sense? So let us then say people must create jobs, allow the unemployed individuals to occupy that space, people who doesn't have conflict of interest, because every time there is a judgment, right now I'm making an example. They say Orlando Pirates, they are not to be found guilty of the same charge. But what if then they are found guilty of a different charge, and then again a sentence is suspended? You see that you're inviting criticism. But again, I don't know how best can we say this, but let these people move away from the seats that they are occupying. Get the unemployed people to occupy those seats. People who will not have a conflict of interest. With that being said, let the conversation begin right now, right here in the comment section below.